Hey, welcome to Chancellor Gaming. This is gonna be a long review. Well, it's gonna be a review, and we're gonna talk about some stuff going around Gigabyte's motherboards, especially to the B450 AORUS Pro Wi-Fi, and this should apply almost, well, pretty much with the X470 Ultra Gaming and the Gaming 5 Wi-Fi, since those motherboards use the same PWM controller, if I'm not correct. The only difference on that is that I think the Ultra Gaming and the Gaming 5 Wi-Fi uses an extra high side MOSFET. That's probably the only difference. Well, talking about just voltages regulation and BIOS options, they should be the same. So before going into this review, we're going to talk about some few things, since VRM Temps are really the focus on end users, final users, and also motherboard brands are taking awareness of this. So we're going to talk about that. But before talking about that, about VRM Temps, there's an important thing some users might forget, and those are, well, the usage the final user does. That's one of them. The other one is the CPU you install on your motherboard. Depending of those two things, actually, the VRM temps are they're gonna vary a lot, or maybe it won't even make sense if, well, maybe a motherboard has high temperatures. Well, but let me continue so I can explain that a little bit better. First of all, if you're just gaming, pretty much, even if you do overclock, VRM temps pretty much are kind of pointless, even if you're overclocked, because gaming actually doesn't stress the CPU at all. Another scenario, gaming and stream doesn't stress that much either, so you can actually game in the stream, and even if you overclock, you pretty much you wouldn't care about VRM temps. Shouldn't be an issue, even with a demanding CPU. Light workloads, it also applies on light workloads. It also applies on medium workloads. Now, heavy workloads, that's where you might want to be a little bit cautious on picking a motherboard. On stock settings, some motherboard models on B450, you might want to make a wiser choice at the moment if you purchase a motherboard. That's one part of the equation. The other part is the CPU you use. If you're using a 2600X, or maybe when the 2300X, no, 2300X or 2500X gets released, probably most motherboards will be fine with them at the moment you stress them on heavy workloads. But if you're using a 2700X, actually you should also pay attention to VR temps and reviews. So yes, so usage is one part of the equation. The other part is the CPU you actually use with the motherboard. Well, I think that's pretty much covering the introduction part of it. Well, let's continue with the review on this model on specific, the B450 AORUS Pro Wi-Fi. Let's summarize my review on it in a way most people probably will understand. The pros. There's pretty much no issues with the stock settings. If you're gonna use the 20, let's say the 2700X or the APUs on stock settings, there shouldn't be any issues you might be worried about. That's one thing. No issues with gaming plus stream, like workloads, medium workloads, including the 2700X. Even if you use certain things such as PBO. We're going to explain real quick what's PBO next. Then it works really well. This motherboard works great with 2000X series, such as the 2600X and the 2700X with Precision Boost Overdrive. I'll teach you how to configure your PC if you're using this motherboard, and if you're using the X series, Ryzen 2000 series. And if you're just gaming, and pretty much like most users might want to buy just a motherboard for game, it works fine. even with PBO, there's no issues at all, like temperatures wise. Okay, now the negative stuff. The 2700X on heavy workloads, Revit, Blender, two workloads I can think of. Actually, they run pretty hot. I've seen some tests on other reviewers on MSI boards. They do much better on that department. So yeah, if you're thinking buying this motherboard and you actually use a 2700X a lot, and if you're just planning to overclock on top of it and you use heavy workload, you're probably better off looking for a motherboard with beefier VRM. Yeah, that's one issue. As I repeat, gaming plus PBO, no issues at all. The other part of the bad part of it of this motherboard is that the software sensor readings when you use plus or minus offsets are not reliable. So yes, you're gonna see on this video how well that it is broken with software readings. Since if you've seen, there's a multimeter attached to the motherboard. Another option that this motherboard lacks is no LLC. Actually, I should write this. I think I wrote it. I want to stress this. Actually, this motherboard works well with Precision Boost Overdrive. It's not a pros. It's a con is there's no LLC. Actually, for PBO, returning to the pro side, PBO works well not with fixed voltage. Actually, it works great with plus or minus voltage. For manual overclocking, actually this motherboard doesn't shine either, since it doesn't have LLC. If you're using a 2600 SKU or a 2700 SKU and you're gonna use manual overclock, yes, actually I'm not convinced on this motherboard. Actually, for non-X series, for X series, actually I would pick this motherboard. No problems at all. I said I'm just gonna explain PBO in 1 second. And one last thing on this motherboard. Oh yeah, no, I just want to give this tip. If you're using manual overclock, well, Buildsway has said it, and I think it has some access to some internal AMD probably documents or distilled set. For 2000 series, you want to just go up to 1.38 volts for 2000 series. On 1000 series, you could actually go to 1.425 volts on 1000 series, but if you're using manual overclock, just go that. Don't go beyond, because there might be a degradation, silicon degradation, especially if you're using high current applications or you're just stressing up the CPU a lot. Okay, so now I'm gonna explain for those who don't know what's Precision Boost Overdrive. So, well, 2000 series CPUs, they were launched. One of the few things improvements they did is actually the turbo boost curve was enhanced, and on top of that there's something called XFR2. Well, thank you for my incredible paint skills. And XFR2 works well, it depends on some variables, but actually I'm just gonna mention the one that's most sensitive. It's actually thermals. So if you have, in XFR2 doesn't matter that much unless you have high temperatures. But now talking about PBO, exactly PBO, thermals is a big important part of it. If you watch YouTube videos and you see someone if you have PBO enabled, you have someone that has high frequency, maybe that, a lot of that is probably explained by what dissipation that user is using thermals. Okay, so XFR2, it's a way big improvement over XFR. PBO actually is kind of like it's pretty much overclocking actually for by now. It's actually overclocking, but using that smart curve. It's not like a fixed frequency. It's a curve. It's actually moving up XFR2 and increasing it up for around 100 megahertz more on my test, and even as I've seen up to 140 megahertz on top of the normal XFR2. But if you activate PBO, you actually increase the voltage feed on the CPU you also the current, yeah, and the temperature goes up. Right now, if you see the voltage meter, you've seen that's on the stock. We're right now on stock 2700X, just XMP. But anyways, yeah, the voltage you're watching right now, there's stock voltage. We're just gonna do a real quick. We're gonna close this right now, pretty much. So we're gonna do some tests. Actually, I should have told at the beginning of the introduction that I will be doing some tests, but we're gonna just run Cinebench. I mentioned about the sensors. So right now in stock, the offset between what the multimeter is reading and the software readings are not that bad. There's a offset of 20 millivolts. The voltage, well, once you use offset, that totally changes. So yes, the most reliable, normally used sensor on for Ryzen is actually using hardware info 64, CPU core voltage SBI2 TFN. We're just gonna do a quick run over here. Yeah, the multimeter right now is reading around 1.25 ish volts. But the software is reading about 1.237. One great thing is good about this motherboard. Actually, it has C states. I think Bill said it. And yes, if you're not using nothing at all, voltage drops. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. So yeah, he mentioned actually that AMD specs actually don't support C states. Well, I guess that's true. But this motherboard supports C state, which is a great thing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna do a real quick run again. Yeah, multimeter 1.25 ish, and well, software reading 1.237 ish. We're gonna load Precision Boost Overdrive. First I'm gonna teach you, if you don't know how to set up XMP and use the stock settings real quick, how to set it up on BIOS. Just gonna restart the PC. Actually, wait a second. We're gonna show real quick before doing that. Frequencies. 1 second, and gonna load PUBG, so you can check the frequencies on the core clock on the 2700X without Precision Boost Overdrive. I've already showed this on another videos, gameplay videos between frequency. PBO frequencies. On one side note, the Ultra Gaming and the Gaming 5 Wi-Fi X470 of gigabytes has a clock gen. That means that you can actually modify the base clock. You can actually achieve higher clock speeds with them. Plus, they have also the servers right now busy. You can actually have the offset voltage. On the Gaming 7 Wi-Fi, you have offset voltage, you have fixed voltage, you have LLC. So yeah, it costs more too. Yeah, let's go. So you'll see, we're just gonna go a real quick game. This non-PBO 2700X with a GTX 1060, 6 gigabytes. So yeah, this non-PBO frequencies. Pretty much for 4141 megahertz to 4166 kind of. So yeah, if somebody cares about the settings on this, I have a tweak settings. I use the settings on pretty much everything, well, at least playing this game. But the point on this is actually watching the frequency, 4141 with non-PBO. Temperatures are pretty low. I'm using an all-in-one cooler for the tests. Not everyone's gonna use that, but if someone's interested, I'm using a EVGA CLC280 dissipator. So okay, let's go to BIOS real quick. I'm gonna show you how to set up if you're not too too accustomed. How could I say? Sorry, English is not my first language, so sometimes I have problems with, with the language. So yeah, for those who are new to to PC, and they just bought their B450 and a 2600X, 2700X. We're on Gigabyte's BIOS right now. I have two loaded profiles. I'm gonna just pretend that's entirely from nothing. F1, you have a general help. F7, load optimize defaults. That's like stock, like nothing applied. Advanced settings, XMP profile, you're loading. As I mentioned, these AFR, Hynix AFR memories and this CPU and motherboard combination is not working well. So if you have a stability issue with RAM, the easiest fix for that is just lowering the bus speed for the memories. Actually, I haven't had any issues with 3066. If you're buying Ryzen, probably your best luck is just buying 2666 if you don't want to worry about anything, or just going for Samsung B-die memories. They work well. They work really well with Ryzen. Anyways, so yeah, just apply XMP. Something I would change on Gigabyte's BIOS. Well, disable high precision event timer. Peripherals, I will just tweak these things. Actually, this change memory interleaving to channel 512, channel interleaving hash enabled. So yes, that's what I would do. And just save and exit, boot into Windows, blah blah blah. You're in stock settings pretty much. We're gonna enable PBO. For those who don't know, PBO, as I mentioned, increases voltage, current, and well, more temperatures, blah blah blah. Anyway, so how to enable it on Gigabyte's motherboard? AMD CBS, and Northbridge IO common settings, XFR. They've removed this color setting before found on these motherboards. There's none anymore. Well, at least at this model. Enable it. And yours pretty much set. There's nothing else. Oh well, I'm gonna just put the fan settings on maximum, since as I mentioned, 700X, they're really susceptible. If you're using PBO especially, it's susceptible to temperatures. Frequency will go lower. Safe configuration and reset. Yes, that's it. That's PBO enabled. There's one more trick I wanna show you, and that's the reason I mentioned this motherboard with PBO and X series Ryzen works really well, because you can use offset voltage. Right now we're gonna check the voltages while using Precision Boost Overdrive. If you've checked before and after, the voltage before PBO were much lower, stock setting wise. So yes, there's a difference on voltage and temperatures. It's going up to 1.45-ish, more or less. So yeah, that's a lot. That's pretty high. But you can use offset voltage. You can reduce the voltage so voltage goes down. That's a pretty nifty thing about this motherboard. Anyway, so I'm just gonna do a real quick Cinebench run. And well, actually the voltage right now, well, let's see, actually I don't remember right now, but yeah. Well, C states kicks in, actually the voltage and the SV2 TFN sensor reads are totally different. As you can see, it's not really reliable. So, oh well, that's it. There's that. I'm gonna do a real quick CPU test. So yeah. Actually, the offset 1.37 is actually not that accurate. Well, actually, it's not bad, right? Well, there's that drop 1.337, which the multimeter is not reading. Yeah, 1.337, 1.375. If you've seen the Cinebench score, it's increased 1889. It's not using any tweaks at all. Oh yeah, I forgot something real good. I said that sensors on this motherboard, when using offset settings, are not great, or they're broken really. They're just broken. This temperature 5 over here on Hardware Info 64, this actually is the VRM temperature. If you want to keep track of that, that's VRM temp, and it's pretty accurate. I've measured it with a thermogun and pretty much like 1 degree difference. So yeah, this is pretty accurate. I like that from this motherboard. This is one good point of it. You can track it, and the sensor reading is pretty accurate. So yes, and now we're gonna apply an offset voltage for this. Yep, we're gonna go to BIOS. How much? Well, if you're using this motherboard, you can't modify the clock gen. There's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't have a clock gen. So well, I was talking about offset. If you want to, well, if on this motherboard, since it doesn't have a clock gen, I would suggest to reduce temperatures and actually increases the lifespan of your CPU. Use offset voltage. How much I would suggest using offset voltage? Well, actually, from reading, since you're writing my review, yeah, I think I did with minus 90 millivolts, but after 1 or 2 weeks of usage, I think I had to increase that voltage to minus 76, if I'm correct. But anyways, if you just want to do just dial up, I would just try minus 50 millivolts. I would just reduce minus 50 would be probably a safe number. So you would go to advanced settings, dynamic, VCore. Yeah, I would just dial up this to, if you don't want to do anything, I would just dial to minus 54 or minus 48. If you want to keep, there's no like true way to stress test your CPU with PBO really. So yeah, I would, if you don't want to do too much work, minus 54, that would be it. If you want to do, well, actually, you want to take time and see what's the least voltage you can apply with this motherboard and this CPU. You just have to dial this down. That will depend on the silicon lottery that you have. Some CPUs might ask more, or some might ask less. For this sample, I haven't had any issues for like more than 2 weeks of usage by applying 0.0 minus 0.078. So yeah, so save and exit real quick, and it's gonna apply the offset voltage. We're gonna check the sensor readouts right now. You're gonna see that hardware info is just broken. I don't know if this is fixable from by BIOS update. I don't think it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. The only thing I know for sure is the software readings on hardware info just gets broken. It's gonna load real quick. Temperatures are gonna go down since there's less voltage. That's a good thing. So yeah, definitely I would suggest just, if you're using PBO, this motherboard, or any motherboard that has an offset voltage, and if you're using just a stock without modifying clock, base clock, lower your CPU core voltage. Anyway, so yeah. So according to software readings, we're reading a 1.45-ish volts, and yes, we're more or less, yeah, you can check it out right now with the multimeter. Yep, it's just broken. It's not working at all. Let me check out Cinebench real quick. This is a long video. I don't know how much minutes I've been talking right now. For those who have stick until this point, I appreciate your patience. Anyway, so Cinebench R15 multimeter, UVC 1.375, 1.38-ish, and the multimeter is reading around, well, more or less minus 70 millivolts. It's kind of a well, actually that was a hiccup. I don't know why. But anyways, 1.323-ish. That was a no, actually no, that was a pretty high score. I thought it was going back. Yeah. So yeah. you've seen that actually your voltage drops a lot, even on it might reach 1.4-ish, which is fine since it's just single task use. But yeah, you're increasing your lifespan of your CPU just by using this option. It's really great. Now, so well, we're just gonna do one more test on voltage real quick. Yeah, 1.32-ish, and we're gonna have on hardware info 1.38-ish. So yeah, don't, if you're using voltage settings, forget about this. You're pretty much safe. Well, just it's kind of bad, I know, but yeah, you can check the multimeter readings here. Safe voltages, no, nothing to worry about. I'll close this. We're gonna check our 1 second. Load this. It's gonna Steam. Real quick PUBG frequency, and that's pretty much about it. Now talking on, I haven't sampled other well, I don't get sampled by other brands. That's fine, I guess. But yeah, from what I've read or from what I've seen from other reviewers like Steve from Howard Box, and from what I've read on Reddit, I don't know if MSI has fixed this on a BIOS correction, but I think PBO wasn't working well with their BIOS release up to, well, with their B450 motherboards and X399. Maybe they'll patch an update, and also offset settings weren't working as well. Actually, they didn't have offset on their BIOS. Yeah, for non-X motherboards, actually works great. Their motherboards have good VRM temps. So those using 2800, 2600 and 2700 non-X, and they just want to use the manual overclocking the old way. Yeah, they're a good choice. Well, they got good motherboard lineup for that kind of usage. Yeah, but personally, I think PBO is great because it has the best of both worlds without tweaking a lot. You don't lose single core performance. And yeah, you have a decent multi-core frequency for demanding tasks. Oh well, getting trolled. The servers are not working. Great, making this video longer that it should that it already is. So yeah, I'm just gonna I'll afford that. Yep. Hopefully this will work. But yeah, I haven't tried Asus motherboards. I don't actually haven't read too much on Asus motherboards, which PWM or voltage regulator controller has. So no idea. That would be, yeah, no, haven't tried those at all. So yeah, well, there you go. Thanks God. So, well, if you have any doubts or anything at all, you can message me. I've been using Precision Boost Overdrive since like the release of 2000 series, hence my first video on PBO. It's kind of old and outdated. So yeah. So well, yeah, frequency's up. You saw the Cinebench scores going up with PBO enabled. And whoa, wait a second, real quick. I think the voltage multimeter just turned off here. Oh yeah, just came in. Yeah, 1.34 ish voltage multimeter reading from the back of the socket. I would like to appreciate the still well with the trust from GIGABYTE for sampling this motherboard, and also for helping me out on the attaching the multimeter behind the motherboard. So yeah, we can do this kind of tests, which are really, well, they're probably interesting for a lot of gamers and, well, CPU users in general. So yeah, that's it for me. If you have any doubts, leave a message in the comments below, and like, subscribe, or dislike the video if you don't think this is a good thing, or anyway, well, just comment it or share it. And I appreciate the well, the time I took from your life. And I'll see you later in a later video, hopefully.